Welcome to the Everyday Defender podcast. My name's Chris Koos, and I'm joined by my co-goose, Koos.
Hey, everybody. Two geese in a podcast. What are we doing here?
What are we doing here? Well, I'm glad you asked. I think the idea here is for us to share some snackable, practical guidance with folks to help keep their Microsoft environments as secure as possible. I think we're in a place now where security cannot be taken for granted, and we wanted to kind of build a show around using our experience and actually provide some really good, like I said, practical guidance on securing your environment. Maybe even give you some advice on how to make use of that capability that you paid for ages ago, but still haven't gotten around to deploying.
Yeah.
So, Koos, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what it is you do?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Koos, and I'm actually from the Netherlands. I work for a company which is a Microsoft partner called Wortel. And my official role is a Microsoft Cloud and Security Consultant. But I have a bit of a mixed job, so to speak. So part of my job is helping the larger enterprises onboard and making the best out of their Microsoft security products. I gained a lot of experience with Microsoft Sentinel in particular while doing that. And the other part of my job is helping Wortel's own managed detection and response service. So there I help our security analysts with all kinds of automation, detection tuning, making sure that everything's deployed from code, from our automated pipelines and such, that we authenticate as securely as possible to our customer environments, all things like that. And when I'm not doing all that great stuff, I'm also a photographer in my spare time. I like to do some barbecuing on my big grill outside when it's not raining here. And I also like to go visit the snow when there's some snow in the Alps in Austria, for example, with my snowboard. And I'm also big into mechanical watches and pinball machines. And yes, that is still a thing in 2024, pinball machines. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, so some folks may know me from another podcast that we do called the Cloud Architects Podcast that we've been doing for a little while. But I, like you said, I think you said your official title was Microsoft Cloud and Security Consultant. And I guess that's pretty much what I do as well. My background is heavily focused in the sort of the Microsoft productivity and modern work stack. I've come out of the Exchange world and been working on Port 25 for almost 25 years, I guess, at this point. But over the last 5 to 7 years or so, my interest has really shifted sort of into the security space, and I really sort of started to take a liking to working in the security space and helping customers be a little bit more secure. I think when working with large customers, very often, and I think it's changing, but security was always was often an afterthought, and I really wanted to sort of change that and have things be sort of security focused. Have security be top of mind when we deploy these things. So I spend my time working with customers. I'm based in Australia. I live just outside of Sydney. We have a small farm here, and my partner is always bringing home animals. So we have a growing collection of animals. It's not that bad. I'm just joking, but yeah. But so when I'm not working with customers, I tend to work with customers here locally in Australia and in the US. I spent a number of years living in the US, so I still have some customer relationships over there. And when I'm not doing that, I generally doing things around here. I too am a watch enthusiast. I love mechanical and automatic watches. I think they are just the most awesome piece of tech ever created. And I'm very sad that the new, the younger generation tend to go for all the digital stuff over the good things.
Unless it's a Rolex, I guess.
Fair enough. Yes, I also am a bit of a petrol head. I love my old cars. I'm not really into the electric thing. I do like big hunking American V8s and motorcycles of all sorts. And I too am a aspiring pitmaster. I lived in Texas for a very long time, so I learned a thing or two about smoking meat. And so I'm not sure your definition of barbecue versus my definition of barbecue, but yeah, I tend to I like to put a brisket in the smoker, or do some pulled pork or something like that whenever I get the chance. It's not all that often, but whenever I can, I do. So yeah, so that is me.
It was a lot of years ago already when we first met on an event, and obviously we were struck by each other's last names, right, on our badges.
That's
You're
right.
from South Africa, I'm from the Netherlands. What a coincidence that we carry almost the same surname, right?
Yes, I'm sure there's a story, a way back when story there of how my ancestors made their way from Northern Europe to the southern tip of Africa. I'm sure there's something there, but yes, that has been a while. I want to say probably 2019 is when we met in Harlem. Still one of my favorite conferences of all time that I've ever been to was the M365, whatever it was called.
365 Engage, it was called.
That's it. Yes, in Harlem. Really, really loved that conference. So yes, and hey, we've been friends ever since. So here we are.
Yeah. Like that we're doing this.
Yes. So, do you want to talk about episode 1?
Yes, of course. So we have our first episode prepared. We actually already recorded it before we recorded this one. And I am going to talk about passkeys. I recently started deploying some phishing-resistant MFA solutions at our own company, at customers, and I ran into a couple of challenges, as we always do when we start out with new stuff. And I'd like to share a couple of key takeaways when I was on my adventure doing that.
Fantastic. Yes, and I talk a little bit about some MFA and the relevance of MFA, the importance of MFA, and some practical guidance on how to actually deploy MFA. Right. So I think we all take for granted that everyone has MFA deployed, and unfortunately, I think that's not true or not the reality. So look out for episode 1. Hoping to drop that soon. Just got to get some editing done, and like and subscribe on your favorite podcast app or podcast platform. We'll also be making these available as videos on the Cloud Architects YouTube channel. So feel free to head on over there and like and subscribe.
So I hope everybody will join us on our first episode and all the future episodes we have planned. And see you then.
See you then.